All right, welcome back to trade number 7 of building a trading strategy from scratch. Today's video is going to be a lot more shorter, a lot more straight to the point because I feel like all my other videos are kind of just repetitive. So obviously we're going to be going over trade number 7 and see what happened today. But it's not going to include any live footage. It's just going to be me talking over what happened today after the fact, after price closed, or after the market closed. So yeah, with that being said, I have my live playlist open, so if you guys want to check out my actual live commentary and like my in real time process and thinking about like what the market is doing and my own personal thoughts on how I see the market, you guys can go ahead and do so. But with that being said, let's get into trade number 7. All right, so looking at today's price action, we see that I made a script that allows my areas to get written out in real time. It updates in real time. Basically on what I look for in price, including, for example, today's morning range, right? So we have 9:30 to 10 o'clock, low and high, and then we have the 50% range, right? That's really important for me. We have first presented fair value gap, which whether it was bullish or bearish, right? And then we have PM, same exact thing, same concept. We have the high, the low, 50%, first presented fair value gap. And basically, I use these as levels for me to understand where price is most likely to go, whether it's resistance or support. But looking from left to right, we see that we have this liquidity pool here, the one up here. We can see the market right after our rule of only entering after 10 o'clock, right, is when the market reverses, comes back down, takes out the low. It does come back up into a premium level, comes back down to the low again to kind of use that as like a retest or a support level. And then we can see that price then went up higher into the PM session. And this is where I started live streaming live. And I really wanted to see the market, see if it wanted to go short since we're above the 50%, which is considered a premium level. So I was thinking, okay, maybe we can look for shorts because we're already in an expensive level and I don't want to be buying expensive things. So I told myself, if I find the correct setup, I'm gonna try to go for it. And initially we were looking for a higher low, like this one right here, to get broken, and then see if this fair value gap fails to show us that, hey, we're no longer supporting buy program tools or conditions. And we can see that price did. And I really like that we didn't take this trade. We had the discipline of not pushing the button today in this area. But then afterwards, we can see that price once goes up higher. But this is actually when we do take a trade. And the reason being is because we saw that this higher low got broken down into, right? While also leaving a fair value gap. And then we also had this, right? Had put my stop loss up here on this high. We had entered when this low got broken and this fair value gap formed, but we can see that price went higher. So I wasn't 100% sure on whether we were on the right track, but that's why we have a stop loss. But either way, as we got more into profit, I started trailing my stop loss lower and lower, where I didn't really want to see the market come back into. And we can see that we entered on this candle right here. And we can see that right here, we would have gotten stopped out, but we actually got stopped out right here. We put on this high. And initially my take profit was this 50% of the PM session and also the high of it. And we can see that this candle, it either touches it or almost touches it, but either way, that was right before when the market closed. And even though we didn't really get the long-term move correct, because if we look to the right now, right, this is after the fact, right? Obviously, we'd rather want to have this kind of move when it comes to day trading, right? And you see it's coming back down now. But you know, these little short-term moves right here is more than enough. You don't need to be getting these big moves, right? I'd rather 100% just be able to get these small moves down and be able to do that every single day, because that will give me the consistency to not really care about missing out on these days. And I know like these days make you really want to enter the market because you're expecting a move afterwards, like when it happens. But even though like like I said, the short-term move wasn't like 100% correct, or the long term, our short term was. Unfortunately, that we just got stopped out prematurely, which is fine. But this is only looking at today's levels. So what I'm going to show you now is yesterday's levels, which was on Tuesday. And if we add that, right, we can see if we go to the left, we have the low, the high, 50%. But this high, we can see if we go to the right, it never reached up into that. So that was kind of like a liquidity pool where we need to test that again, right? And today in the morning as well, we didn't touch it until 3 o'clock. So we took that out, made a retracement, and not the market didn't take out yesterday's high until after the market closed, which is also important. And then we can see that afterwards we had a huge gap up, and now we're kind of making a retracement. So today's trading netted us 15 points and a quarter on MNQ, which translates to $30.50. And if we take a look at our balance, we can see $30.50, but each contract, right, because we sold one and then we bought one, takes around like 50 cents. So we're still up 169 bucks. We have 7 trades in. So the data right now looks like on my screen on right under me on my camera, we have a 57% win rate, 0.62 RR. So every dollar that we risk, we're gaining around 62 cents. And we have a profit factor of 2.19. Like those stats alone, I wouldn't say like they're the best or like, oh my gosh. But what I would say is, we only have 7 trades sampled. And even if we get to 20, it doesn't seem like a lot either. But I think once we hit 20, we can actually get like a concrete, like statistical explanation on whether my strategy is good or not. But I think once we hit those 20 for sure, we're going to start an evaluation account, because I know for sure paper trading is not the same as an evaluation, and an evaluation is not the same as a funded account, and a funded account is not the same as live capital, right? There's different levels into trading, different psychology, right? Because we start thinking about more like money instead of trading. But I think if you start doing the right disciplines and the mindset of not really thinking about the money, but thinking about terms of points, terms of liquidity, imbalances, why is the market doing a certain thing and why isn't it doing this, right? And figuring out what the market actually does instead of, oh, how do I make $1,000 in a day, right? That will come after the trading comes into play. But you can't do that unless you're actually trying to do the same thing over and over every day and making a plan, right? So it all starts with a plan. But with that being said, I think we're going to close out this one. And I forgot to mention, I am going to drop down my script link that marks out these levels for you. And the cool thing is that you're able to input manual dates. Right now I only have 2. So you can put 2 custom dates. For me, I put today's and yesterday's. And you can also do the last certain amount of days, right? Which is also really cool. So you don't have to manually do this. But my script name is AM/PM levels plus first presented fair value gap. But if you just apply it, it will apply these levels. And obviously I'm not asking you guys to buy what I'm, using for my concepts and my understanding. But, just taking a look at it and seeing it, like if you see something as well with these levels, it could maybe help you out. So with that being said, hope you guys have a good one in trading. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment. Want to see your guys' comments, connect, and maybe one of these days I'll drop a Discord as well. But yeah, See you guys in trade number 8.